you guys, this is Good Deeds and I'm Dr. Renee Sunday. Guess what? We have the leading men of Hollywood. Yes, right here with Megafest. Our TDJs know what we like to see, right? Okay, so I want you to sit back and relax. And guess what? The leading men, all the men that we've been seeing in Hollywood, guess what? You have an opportunity to experience it with us here at Good Deeds. Sit back and relax now. Stay tuned. This is Good Deeds and I'm Dr. Renee Sunday.
And now it is my pleasure to bring up the fantastic, the amazing, the inspirational, the successful, the author, the executive, and the producer, Devon Franklin.
Good morning, Megafest. How many of you are blessed and highly favored? Come on now, how many excited that God woke you up today? Wow, this is incredible. This is the first session of this year's International Faith and Film Festival, so give yourselves a round of applause, please. Oh my goodness. This panel is about, leading men in Hollywood, and what I can tell you about every panelist that you're going to get a chance to hear from and ask questions to, that they are men not only of integrity in front of the camera, but also behind the camera. Amen? Give them a round of applause. Amen. So, what we want to do is we want to get into a conversation so you can get an understanding of what it takes to be successful. And then we're going to transition near the end of the session to Q&A where you get a chance to ask your question. Now, I'm going to give you this in advance, a question. Not a comment, not a pitch, please. Question, amen? We have our Holy Ghost armed guards, all around here, and we will escort you out in the name of Jesus. Amen. Hallelujah. All right, everything's been done in order. All right. Without further ado, I want to welcome our panelists. Would you please welcome to the stage John Singleton. John Singleton. Would you please welcome to the stage Mr. Laz Alonso. Would you please welcome to the stage Mr. Malik Yopa. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Brian White. Right on. Okay, I hear all the oohs. That don't sound like the Holy Spirit moving through the place. So what I want to do is I think everyone knows the persona of each one of you. But where I want to start is giving them a little insight to your story so they can understand the process behind the persona. So if you can just take a few minutes, each one of you, and talk about how you got your big break, which led to this moment. I'll start with you, John. You.
Well, I made Boys in the Hood. I made it right out of college at the age of 22, graduating from USC. Got some Trojans here. It was, I walked into a room and people wanted to buy my script, and I said, you've heard the story, it was a Sony. And I was like, you can't do this movie without me directing. I had no experience in directing at all. And I guess I convinced them because I said that this is a movie that I was born to make. And then all of my friends on the block that we set up, and we catch the RTD bus all around Los Angeles, going to movies and stuff. We said, they don't make no movies about us. They need to make somebody that needs to make a movie about us. And so I guess they were confident enough and gave me $6 million, and I made that movie, and it was successful. So that's how it started. So, and I think in keeping with the theme of what this panel is supposed to be about, if you know anything about that film and my subsequent films, what I wanted to do with that film was really show how the influence of a black father, or a black male image in a young person's life can change things, at least for one person. Because it juxtaposed what was happening with Trey and Furious to what was happening with Doughboy and Ricky across the street. You know what I mean? When they didn't necessarily have father figures, so they're looking for their manhood in different ways. So that's kind of been a through line in all my work, actually.
Before you went to go sell the script, what was the genesis of the idea? What inspired you so much to write that seminal
I didn't know nothing else. I didn't know nothing else but being in South Central Los Angeles. I was going to film school. I was in film school at USC, and I was really in awe of what Spike Lee had been doing with his work. To that time, I met him when I was in high school, going from USC from high school to USC, and he was really repping hard for New York. So I was like, I gotta rep hard for LA.
Yeah, West Coast.
I gotta, how they say, we have these seminars that say, what's your brand? Some budding filmmakers say, what is unique to you as a person that you can bring to whatever story you want to tell? So I was formulating that in my head, like what is, I didn't call it brand, what is special about me and unique and different as a storyteller? And so I was like, I'm from LA, I'm from a part of LA that nobody makes stories about, and this is what I want to roll with.
Lance.
You know, I honestly believe that I still haven't had my big break. You know, I feel like the way God has worked in my career and in my life, I've had a whole bunch of small breaks that cumulatively have made a body of work of breaks. But if you could compare it to building a house, I've built it brick by brick. And every film, every TV show is just another brick in my house. And I haven't even gotten to the roof yet.
All right. Malik.
So Devon, I just want to let you know, you heard utterances when we first came out. That is bringing people close to the God. If you heard them, they were saying things like, Lord,
Yes, that's right.
Jesus is real. Look at God work. But so there's a couple answers, but number one, September of 2018, I'll be doing a show at the Apollo. It opens the Apollo's fall season of 2018 called Harlem to Hollywood, which is my life story. And it's me on stage playing about 30 characters. It's a multimedia show. And I'm working on doing the first show that could ever be nominated for a Tony and an Emmy. So I started in theater as a kid. I saw Alice in Wonderland when I was 4. I was in drama class all through school. At 13, I was part of the Metropolitan Opera Children's Theater Guild. At 16, I worked at Negro Ensemble Company. Saw people like Sam Jackson and Angela Bassett, and Denzel had just finished Soldier Story, and Felicia Rashad. And so I've had a lot of, I was steeped in the theater in New York growing up. But I actually didn't want to pursue acting because I didn't like the idea of people telling me when I could work. So my father always said, build your own generator so when they turn off the power, you still have lights. So I grew up, I had a paper route from 8 years old in Harlem to 16. And so for me, my passion was also young people. So coming out of high school, I wanted to study early childhood education and musical theater. And I had the opportunity at 16 to start tutoring kids. At 17, I was teaching theater. 19, I volunteered with an organization called the City Kids Foundation. People like Lauryn Hill, Dule Hill, Donald Faison, Lisa Carson, Isaiah Washington. They all came through the City Kids Foundation in New York. And so my passion was working at 20, I was working in 13 high schools. In the summer of 1989, we ran out of money, but I also had a waiter job. And so I told my boss, I'll stay for the summer to volunteer. And I went to work one day, and there was a sign on the wall that said, it was an audition for a film, and it said it paid $300 a day. And I went and auditioned for that film, and I got the film. It was written by a guy named Jamal Joseph, who happened to be Tupac's godfather, who wrote a book called Panther Baby, who's now the head of the film school at Columbia. But at the time, Jamal had just gotten out of doing 10 years in Leavenworth for his role in the Black Panther Party. So the same reason Tupac's mom was, locked up, and her man, Jamal was caught up in that. And so I told him to come down to City Kids Foundation during Black History Month to talk to the kids. And we loved him so much, we hired him to run the theater company. So City Kids had two parts. I was doing more of the administrative stuff and organizing the school-based programs and Friday night coalition meetings. And so I was very passionate about doing that. And so I ended up auditioning for that film. I got the film. And then Jamal told his wife one day, I'm gonna make Malik famous. And he was working on the film version of Panther Baby, which was called Liberated Territory at the time. And he wanted me to play him in that film. And this was back at that time, it was about 90, 91. Jamal calls me up one day and says, hey man, they're doing this film about the Jamaican bobsled team. Call this woman, Jackie Brown, and go down to SOB and audition. So I went down to SOB and did an audition. It was an open call. And I did a bunch of improv about how I taught Bob Marley how to write music. And 2 months later, I was at Greenpeace at a meeting, and I got a call from Disney to say, can you fly to LA to screen test? And that was in 91. And that's the initial Hollywood break, I guess.
Yeah, and been working ever since. Wow, it's fantastic.
My big break, honestly, was being cast as an extra in the movie The Best Man. And I came out stepping, here, throwing homage to Stomp the Yard, which is about fraternities. There's a fraternity up on stage here and in this room. This is the Fraternity of Black Hollywood. And I was inducted as an extra on that set, and it really inspired me. I came out of that experience with my hair on fire because every single actor, every single crew member on that set had so much love and passion for each other and what they were doing. As you guys know, The Best Man's is a quality film. And being on set for 12 hours a day after I had come off of Wall Street and out of the NFL, sitting around black people talking about how to make our image better in the community made me feel so good about us and what we can do and the power of the narrative coming out of Hollywood and how strong that is. It sets the table for everything we talk about, everything we aspire to. If we can't see it, we can't imagine it. And on that set, Malcolm Lee and that cast were talking about giving us some things to dream about and aspire to be like. And all these years later, that was my big break. That's what let me know that the power of the Hollywood fraternity of black folks doing it is powerful beyond our belief.
What I love about the through line of all your stories, and I hope you guys are hearing this, is that each one had a dream. Each one had the faith to put themselves in an opportunity to get confirmation if that dream was going to happen. It wasn't calculated. It came from a place of passion. Really important, because sometimes when you're trying to navigate your career, you try to maneuver and network, but the thing that everyone is saying is just do what's in your heart and what God has told you. Laz, I want to ask you a question, and I want to kick it to everyone, but Laz, I want you to start. What is required? There are people out there that want to be successful. They want to be in entertainment, but they don't know what is required to be a leading man. How do you prepare? What goes into the process that nobody ever sees? All they see is what shows up on the screen. But what is required to hold that screen in the way that you do?
Well, I believe first and foremost, before anybody hires you as a lead or a leading man, quote unquote, you either are one in your heart or you're not. I didn't need someone to give me a big role for me to confirm in me that I was a lead. I knew that when I was a day player. Now, one thing I did do was study leading men. And to this day, I study. Those that came before me, those that are part of my, generation or class of actors, and those that are also coming up now. I'm constantly studying performances. I'm studying directors. I study film. I study images. I study stills. You know, now I even study people's Instagram pages. Because that is truly your magazine. That is your photo shoot to the world. This is how you present yourself as a brand and as a person. And so it is a 24-hour-a-day job. It takes a lot of reading, and just dedication and faith. You know, it isn't necessarily what you see as far as what jobs you get. It is about what you feel, what you bring, the stories that you want to tell. You know, back in the day, to me, meant a leading man. When I first started in this business, meant being number one on the call sheet. That's not what it means anymore to me. You know, to me, it means making an impact when you work, whether it's if you have one line or you are in all 3 acts. And so that to me is what it takes. It's never ending 100% work. Malik.
What he said. Which part of the question? The part that
what is required? Because there are many people that act, but not everyone's a leading man or a woman.
Right.
So what does it take? Is it a mentality? Is it a preparation? Is it just opportunity? In your experience, what are the ingredients that go into becoming a leader?
You know, it's interesting. I think it's all of those things because, you know, I was lucky, right? My very first film, the one that I said I did in 1989, it was called Seriously Fresh. I was one of the leads. I did another one after that called Reunion in 91. I was a lead. I did Cool Runnings in 93. Then, of course, I did New York Undercover in 94. So what's interesting is, you know, in New York Undercover, I was the lead, right? I was number 1 on that call sheet. So what's interesting, you would, I know I was, girl. I was there. No, what's interesting in this business, I'll use other people as an example. When I saw Damon Wayans show up in Lethal Weapon, when I saw the promos, I didn't realize it was Damon. Because Damon's name was not above the title. I knew Clayne Crawford because I did a show Thief with him, the white boy in the show. It took me a minute to realize that was Damon. And by definition, first of all, I believe what Laz says, which is, I'm not gonna let someone else define who I am. And that goes to the whole Bill Jones generator, so when you turn off the power, you still have lights. That goes to the whole, I'm not gonna wait for an opportunity for people to give me one, I'm gonna create them. But for me, it's interesting if you understand which optic to look at this business through. And so if you don't see someone like Damon Wayans' name above the title on Lethal Weapon, when he helped build that network, it was on Fox with Living Color. He was the lead in My Wife and Kids
on ABC.
Then he shows up on Lethal Weapon, and there's no signage. So that means that someone is trying to define his status and say he's not a leading man. So I do a show like New York Undercover and help build a network. 20 years later, I end up on a show like Empire, and I felt like a high-paid extra. Because people will do things in a very subversive way to try to take you off your square. So when the scripts show up and you go like, hold on, wait, really?
This is all I got?
So you invited me to dinner but told me I can't eat. And so in order to be a leading man, I think that the most important thing is to understand who you are. The best character you will ever play is the role you play in your real life. A homeless man once said to me, when I was about 20 years old, walking in New York, a homeless gay Jamaican man. A whole heap of things that, man, a whole heap of things. This man, no, seriously, a homeless man in a lucid moment walked past me like, soldier, may I tell you, you never been nobody till you been yourself. And that stuck with me as a 20-year-old walking down Houston Street, 2nd Avenue, New York. And so I think the most important thing about being a leading man is, what are you trying to lead? Who are you trying to lead? And you have to first lead yourself. And for me personally, I have to lead with service, right? So my journey has been about service. And you know, when I did New York Undercover, I played a father. I was a 26-year-old father of an 11-year-old son, which meant I was a 15-year-old dad. And so leading for me meant when they wrote JC prepares a TV dinner for G, I'm like, nah, props, go get real food, we're gonna cook in the scene. Or G watches television while doing his homework. Absolutely not. My father refused to put a television in the house. I didn't have a TV in my house until Roots came out. And the true story. My father finally brought a television because he said that is worthy of my children, because I'm not gonna have white folks tell my kids how to think. And so there was no TV in my house, there were books. You know, and so to be a leading man, for me, we can't get caught up with, you know, the brass ring of the award. You know, how many times, how many followers you have on Instagram, how many times you appear. The leading men, especially in the world we live in now, we need leaders. And we need people who are willing to serve first. And I truly believe, because this is an ancient art of storytelling. This is the griot tradition. This is the cavemen writing on the wall, telling stories so that those that come behind us can, one, see themselves, hopefully be inspired, be motivated to be a better reflection of themselves. And so to be a leading man, I think that first you have to lead in your home, you have to lead in your community, you have to lead in your family, and you have to look at what we do. Like Laz said it best, if you have one line, it's not about I only have one line, that famous line, there's no such thing as small actors or small parts, only small actors. It's the same thing. In that moment, whatever that one line is, your whole self has to show up in that.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, wow, that was powerful. That was what I was gonna say, but
He took the words out of your mouth, exactly.
my wife and my mom always say that you have to be a finisher. They always tell me that, and I can definitely say this about Laz. I started with Laz in this industry. The people that survive in this industry don't quit. They're finishers. You know, they have a vision and they see it through. It doesn't matter if the sea gets rough, it gets stormy, the road gets rocky. They just keep going. I just don't quit. This is what I've decided I'm going to do. And you know, I am. It doesn't need to be for Universal. It doesn't need to be for NBC. If it's me making an indie film on a weekend, that's what it's going to be. If it's me doing a play tour for 2 years, that's what it's going to be. I love the power of acting, the power of the narrative, and how it shapes and changes people and brings, you know, I'm doing a play circuit where we toured almost 50 states, getting 3,000 to 5,000 of us into a theater every night, being able to talk to people after the show and talk about whether it's politics or religion or sports, you know, real interaction like this. You know, I wasn't getting paid very much, but it was filling me up in a way that I couldn't get anywhere else. I couldn't get that on Wall Street. I didn't get that by playing in the NFL. And, you know, you have to be a finisher in this business. Don't let anybody tell you no. And then the other thing that you have to have is a thick, thick, thick skin. And not care about the rest of the noise. It's like my father's a Hall of Fame basketball player. He didn't go into the Hall of Fame until last year. And he didn't play to get into the Hall of Fame. He played because he loved playing basketball. He didn't play for the money. He played in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They didn't get any money, you know? And he didn't play for the accolades. Most of the reporters were writing negative stuff about my dad. And then I came across some news clippings that my mom gave me talking about how my dad had stayed humble in the beginning of his career. Towards the end of his career, he just kept playing hard, and the reporters were noticing this is one of the top all-stars, but he's not getting the recognition that he might be due, but you're never going to hear it from him. And I never heard it from my dad. Even when all of his friends started making it in the Hall of Fame and they started getting their just due, and they'd say, well, JoJo, you're going to get your... No, that's not why I played. That's not why I played. I love basketball. You know, that's what I wanted to do. I made the team. The fact that I started, that's a bonus. I wanted to start, but I was on the team. The fact I made All-NBA, you know, Hall of Fame, those are bonuses. And that's, all these people, John wanted to make a great story. The fact that he made money and got a big career out of it, he you know, had a passion and a very small, focused goal. Same thing with Laz, same thing with myself, same thing with, he wanted to tell the story of a 26-year-old father taking care of this 11-year-old boy and show other black men they could do it. That was it, that turned into this. You know, we don't ever know where the road's gonna go, but we have to know that we are gonna stay on that daggone road and keep putting one foot in front of the other to get there. That's all it is.
Absolutely. John, I think that when history, you know, looks back at what you have done, I think it will record that you have made one of the most significant contributions to people of color in America than any other filmmaker probably working today, in all honesty. Your commitment, your vision, and what you've seen. One of the things that Malik brought up, which tees up this question for you, what is the truth about people of color and finding success in Hollywood? Is it more difficult? Is that a myth? And how have you been able to keep clear of who you are as a person of color and still hit the highest heights of Hollywood?
I think it's my family, you know, and it's also how I was raised, and you know, and my faith, and the people that really taught me to think about the preservation of the soul first. I mean, regardless of success,
The preservation of a soul.
the preservation of your soul first
Wow.
comes first. All the stuff about Hollywood and fame and success and more money, that can go, that's fleeting. You know what I mean? Everyone, take it with a grain of salt when everyone says, oh, this is the greatest thing you ever did. Because tomorrow they can say, oh, we hate you. You know what I mean? You're not worth anything. You're supposed to take any of that to heart. So I don't take any of the praise or the adulation, you know, or even the jeers to heart. It's all about what Malik says. It's about the journey. It's about service. It's about it's about having a career that is not necessarily just in the service of me personally, but will inspire other people. You know, how many people from LA here? My office has been in Lamar Park for over 20-something years, and people don't even know that. My main office. You know where Essalon Books is, right? My office is right across the street there. We cast Boys in the Hood out there, Hustle and Flow, all those pictures, even Fast and Furious. We had cast, we're in the neighborhood, just like in New York and Brooklyn, how I used to have different production houses right on the street. You know, people come in. I always admired that, and I felt that the arts community in Los Angeles has to really be encompassing of where we are. You know what I mean? You should be able to walk on the street and just be in and of the people. And as storytellers, I think we do ourselves a disservice when we're not in and of the people. And I've always felt that I get my power, you know, first from God, but also being in and of the people. The people give me hope. They give me, they inspire me continuously. You know, and that's, I love that.
Yeah, please